Good afternoon, everybody ready? Everybody set, good? Thank you very much for coming today. We have a press conference. The chief is going to be speaking. No questions will be answered by the chief. After he is done, he's going to leave. I will be available afterward for any questions that may come up. This is in reference to a closure of a major case. So with that being said, Chief Newland.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. Behind me is some of the department's traffic crash investigators, their supervisor, Deputy Chief Lisa Barnes. Again, I am Chief Newland of the Cape Coral Police Department. The Cape Coral Police Department's major crash investigators have concluded their arduous hit-and-run traffic homicide investigation that killed an 8-year-old girl, Layla Aiken, back on March 25th of 2019 around 6:15 a.m. We have arrested and charged Logan Tyler Hetherington, Hetherington, a white male, date of birth of 6/24 of 1999. Resides at 537 Southeast 35th Street in Cape Coral. He's been charged with the following: leaving the scene of a traffic crash with a fatality, vehicular homicide, possession of cannabis under 20 grams, and possession of drug paraphernalia. On the morning of March 25th of 2019, Mr. Hetherington was driving in his red 2012 Dodge Ram pickup. As the truck neared Northeast 19th Terrace, Mr. Hetherington turned sharply to the left, which is east, cutting across the northeast corner of the intersection outside of his lane of travel, and entered the westbound lane traveling eastbound. As the Dodge Ram pickup truck traversed the northeast corner of the intersection, its left side tires left the roadway and traveled onto the grass and dirt shoulder toward Layla Aiken. Layla was struck by the Dodge pickup truck that Hetherington was driving, but continued without stopping, traveling eastbound along Northeast 19th Terrace. 8-year-old Layla Aiken was seated at her back toward the roadway in the dirt and grass, off the roadway surface, on the northeast corner of that intersection, near a stop sign and street light pole, waiting for the arrival of her school bus. Layla's brothers were also at that intersection with her. The street light illuminated on the northeast corner with Layla as she was seated as such, waiting for the bus to be picked up. Several other in-depth investigative techniques were utilized before a warrant request was filed with the state attorney's office, such as DNA testing, search warrants on electronic devices, witness interviews, and surveillance footage review. Several video surveillance cameras assisted with the investigation. And based on the totality of the investigation, probable cause was developed for Logan Tyler Hetherington. I do also want to thank our state attorney's office for working together with us on this investigation, and to our major traffic crash investigators standing behind me. And as a reminder, please take precaution and obey all traffic laws. This was a very tragic incident. Our children are out there at bus stops, walking to and from school. Please stay alert when driving on our streets. Any violator of our traffic laws, especially hit and run, will not be tolerated. We will do everything within our legal guidelines to find you and arrest you. Thank you. And this concludes our press conference. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
Sergeant, you mentioned cannabis. Is there any, how did that come about since Mr. Hetherington was arrested more than 8 weeks later?
The vehicle that was seized on the date, same date as the actual traffic crash, the major crash investigators were actually able to obtain a search warrant for that vehicle. Inside the vehicle was located 2.7 grams of marijuana, a grinder, and another item for drug paraphernalia.
Is there reason to believe he was on the drug at the time of the crash?
That is unknown.
You had the truck for a number of weeks. I know the hurdle was trying to prove that this person was driving the vehicle. How were you able to do that?
Again, with the investigative techniques that were utilized, including actual surveillance video, we pretty much knew who the driver was very close to the actual crash itself. The point was being able to put everything together to show that this person actually did commit the crimes that he was charged with.
The surveillance, was that from residential houses or businesses?
It was with residences.
Is this the same person of interest that was identified right after the crash?
It is the exact same person.
Back to the surveillance video, can you tell us anything about what was underneath that video? Did he look at his car afterward, anything like that?
There was a video of him getting into the vehicle when he left the actual residence, pretty much his driving pattern all the way through the crash scene, and then leaving that actual area. There is video of him looking at the vehicle at the business.
Did you use surveillance video from the suspect's house? From his own house? It would be another residence.
Yeah, it was another residence.
Has the suspect since admitted that he was behind the wheel at the time the truck hit Layla?
At this point in time, he is still being interviewed.
Master Sergeant, I can't imagine we're the only, or we're the first ones you're telling this news to. How's Layla's family?
The victims' advocates, of course, have dealt with Layla. They were the first to be notified of the arrest before we even called for this press conference.
How they doing?
I do not know that.
Where was the truck seized?
It was seized at a business in our South Industrial Park. That'll be in the news release of the exact business location.
Is it known whether the driver was under the influence of any drug or alcohol?
Again, at that point in time, since we did not deal with the individual that day, I do not know.
Do you know what he was doing on the road? Was he going to work at that time? Was he coming home?
It appears at that point in time, due to the investigation, they were able to show that he was going to work.
Has he been booked yet? Do we have a mugshot available?
A photo will be provided in the news release. He has not been taken over to Lee County Jail at this point.
Will he face a judge tomorrow morning?
Most likely, yes.
Will that surveillance video be released?
Through a public records request, of course, it can be released.
Do you have any sense whether he stopped even in the slightest after this happened, or did he just keep going?
He did not stop. He continued on throughout the entire travels in that area.
You mentioned warrants on electronic devices. Is there evidence that Mr. Hetherington admitted or talked about hitting Layla to someone else?
I don't know. I didn't read all of the actual messages.
And this morning, I'm sorry, I think you already said this, was he arrested at his home? Did he turn himself in?
He was arrested near the business that he works at.
It's been a while since, obviously, the accident, the crash, excuse me. What can you share about the investigation? It's been a while. We spoke with the parents. It's frustrating. The community is upset. But obviously you guys aren't just sitting on your butts. What can you tell us about, you know, these weeks?
And you have to understand that basically this investigation, because there was a fatality, is like any other murder investigation. It takes a long period of time to gather as much evidence as possible to actually be able to provide that to the state attorney's office in a warrant request or an arrest. Therefore, DNA does take time to get back. Warrants and subpoenas for electronic devices takes time. So piecing everything together, again, this was a very, like the chief said, arduous process that took time, that the major crash investigators went above and beyond to actually complete the investigation, turn it over to the state attorney's office. State attorney's office, again, was very helpful in working with us during the entire time from day one all the way through until the warrant was actually signed, which was today.
Did the suspect ever sit down for an interview before he was arrested today and cooperate with the investigation?
We did not interview him as far as what you're speaking of now.
At the time of the crash, we heard that one of her brothers ran to a neighbor to call 911. Can you tell us anything about that? Did that actually happen? Did you interview that specific neighbor?
Don't know if we...
A vehicle arrived on scene, and that person, yeah, Sergeant Lair. Going off of memory, it's, this booking report, all the paperwork's about that thick. So I can tell you that another driver arrived on scene, and that driver, as soon as that driver arrived on scene, started doing some sort of medical attention, and then the brother ran back home to grab mom.
And do we know if that driver was just happened to be driving in that direction that morning, or were they dropping a kid off?
That was their normal route towards work.
So they didn't happen to come home?
Correct.
Is there a specific piece of evidence that led to his arrest? I know you said you pieced it all together, but was there one specific piece you were waiting for to...
Not really. It's a culmination. You have to realize also with the surveillance video, there was so many hours that had to be combed through to look even for that specific vehicle or the person. And then, of course, interviewing all the witnesses. Again, it was very long and detailed.
And we know hit and run crashes are normally difficult to solve. Can you tell us how you guys work together and giving closure to this family?
Again, with the major crash investigators, they, of course, due to the fact that it was an 8-year-old child, they wanted to make sure that we could have closure. The chief with the backing, making sure that they had the ability to go out and do those investigations, helped with securing all that surveillance video and all the witness statements that they were able to get to help make this a good case.
Is it possible that if Mr. Hetherington had stopped after he hit Layla, that he wouldn't be in any trouble at all?
I don't know about any trouble. Of course, he would not be in this position whatsoever. He wouldn't be facing major felonies at this point.
What can you say about the actual arrest when you went and served the warrant? Was it peaceful, if I may say, or what can you share about the moment you guys were, or you ladies, everyone was there?
Actually, Sergeant Lear of the Special Operations Traffic Unit, he actually made the traffic stop on the vehicle, and he was cooperative throughout the process.
Any indication that he was using his cell phone at the time while he was driving, or if he was distracted in any way?
I don't believe, we don't have any evidence to believe that he was actually texting or on the phone at the time.
Did he express any remorse, or was he, shocked when the was served, the warrant was served?
I don't know if he was actually shocked or not.
You mentioned that he was arrested at his place of work, and I know Brooke was about to ask this question, but can you actually tell us where he is currently employed?
He was actually not he was in his vehicle. Again, it was a traffic stop that was actually made away from the business. That will be in the news release. I don't have the exact name. It's in actually on my desk. Any other questions?
Lastly, I know maybe your team here hasn't dealt with the family one-on-one, but again, this story has reached the entire community. What can you share about the closure? I imagine everyone's working so closely on it. Moments shared in the police department today about all the hard work. What can you share about that?
Again, this is a very tragic incident due to the fact that an 8-year-old actually gave their life to a hit-and-run driver. So again, the officers, of course, and the sergeant of the traffic unit are very happy we were able to actually conclude this with an arrest. And again, as the chief said, we want to let everybody know that we take this very seriously, and we will make sure that to the fullest extent, we will go after anyone that commits any type of hit and run whatsoever.
You guys take cases like this more personally than others?
I can't say that it's more personal, but you have to realize that, yes, it was an 8-year-old that died in this case. So yes, the officers definitely wanted to make sure there was closure.
And just for clarity, you said that street light was working, because there was a rumor in the beginning that it had been dark and then it was broken.
Officers, when they responded to the scene, realized it was working. They also went there the next day. It was still working. They also contacted LCEC and showed that, yes, it was working. They had not done any repairs to that to fix any light.
Can you list the charges one more time, please?
It's leaving the scene of a traffic crash with a fatality, vehicle homicide, possession of cannabis under 20 grams, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Can you repeat his date of birth?
June 24th, 1999, I believe.
That's correct.
Okay.
Because he is a minor, can you explain
The suspect is not a minor.
Okay, thank you.
His address one more time was 577 Southeast 35th Street?
537. 537.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You've been listening live here on Fox 4 News. You've watched it live as the police chief and then the public information officer you just heard from in those moments announcing an arrest in the death of that 8-year-old girl on the right-hand side of your screen, little Layla Aiken. The suspect's name is Logan Hetherington. He's going to turn 20 years old next month, and he is charged with vehicular homicide, leaving the scene of a wreck, pot possession, and possession of drug paraphernalia. So that could be anything from a bong or something that might go along with that. Now, it's been 2 months nearly that investigators have been working on this case, and it seems very clear just watching the press conference, because we're watching it live along with you and seeing how this unfolds, that they did everything they could to try to keep it airtight. They said the case file is this thick, but they haven't interviewed him until today. They're in the process of doing that right now. We're going to have more on this story coming up on Fox 4 News at 5 o'clock in less than 20 minutes. In the meantime, we'll let you get back to Judge Judy. And just a reminder, we've got the very latest, including Logan Hetherington's mugshot on fox4now.com. Just one more thing. We're already checking what's happening on social media, and some people are going to this 19-year-old suspect's Facebook page and making death threats. We want to remind you that we are here to cover the community. It's been a really difficult time for all of us to get through this, and we do not want to cover another family's loss or the hate and the frustration that goes along with these big tragedies. So please just maybe talk with your kids, and let's all of us take a deep breath together so that we can get through this as a community, supporting one another instead of turning on each other, which is, of course, so tempting and so frustrating, and it feels like such a tragic loss of life. All right, I'm Patrick Nolan. Have a good afternoon. We'll see you in about